There is a silence that falls only when the world is too tired to whisper. It does not ask for attention. It simply is. A hush between breaths, between thoughts, between the ticking of the great cosmic clock. And it is in that silence that I find you, curled like a question mark, not broken, only wondering. You are not here to be fixed. You are not a lesson to be learned. You are a story to be remembered. So let me speak gently now, like fur brushing against stone, like moonlight touching the tips of grass in a garden you no longer believe exists. You were never banished. You only turned away. And tonight, you will turn back. Step by step, paw by paw. You will remember how to walk barefoot through the soil of your own soul. And you will find it the forgotten garden. Not as a place, but as the part of you that still believes in warmth, still believes in home. Close your eyes, little one. You have wandered long enough. Let the dream begin. You were once held in many hands. Not all of them were kind. There is a reason you sleep lightly now, why you startle at creaking floorboards and carry tension in your tail. Even in your dreams, your ears stay half-turned listening for a world that forgot how to care for delicate things. You are a cat? Yes. But more than that, you are a feeling wrapped in fur. An ancient spirit in a fragile body. A question the universe once asked itself, and then never quite answered. Not in the tragic, poetic way, but in the practical, unflinching way cats understand. Solitude is safer than misunderstanding. You walk not toward something new, but toward something old, so old it aches with sweetness. You reach the edge of the city, the moon a sliver of bone in the bruised sky. You slink through the long grass, every sense on edge. Then you see it, to hunt under the cold gaze of the moon, to trust only what your claws can feel beneath them, to speak a language older than words, a language of shadows and instinct. Not a house, not a haven, but a hovel. A tumble down of rotting wood and weeds that smells of sanctuary. You pause, tail high, listening for the telltale sounds of danger or discord. Hearing only the wind, you slip inside, where the stone becomes dirt, where the human lights flicker and the shadows grow brave. You hesitate, for here there are no hands to bruise your spirit, or voices to shatter your quiet. Here, the walls are draped with cobwebs and dreams. The hovel weathers the storms, just as you weather the loneliness. You hunt and you dream, and in your dreams, the hands that held you are kind. The whispers return, not of wind or leaves, but of rain on rusted tin. Come back, they say. Come back. And you do, because this place, this broken, weed-choked place, is your place. Because the whispers have become your song, and the song has become your prayer. Here, time is measured by the drift of leaves and the sigh of the breeze. You nestle in the crook of a broken shutter, eyes closed, and remember, you are no longer the temple cat, the honored guardian of silence and silk. You are stray, nameless, wind-worn. But the whisper comes again, this time from inside you. You are never lost. You only turned away. And so, you step forward, into the place where maps stop, into the wild memory of a garden you swore you'd never believe in again. The rooftop is yours, the cracked garden wall with ivy, growing like old stories yours, the rain barrel that sings only when it fills yours. You live alone now, with memory. You hear something not quite a sound, more like an invitation. It is the rustle of leaves stirred by wind that remembers you. But tonight, something changes. The air thickens. Not with danger. You pause. A paw lifted mid-step, like a forgotten word on the tip of a tongue. You tilt your head. There, again, a whisper not into your ears, but into your bones. Come back. You don't know where it came from, and yet your whiskers twitch with recognition. You follow, not with logic, with longing, down past the garden wall, through the alley where broken things find refuge. across the roof tiles warmed by yesterday's sun. Your body moves, but your spirit already remembers the way. It's late, and there you find peace, or perhaps just absence, which is almost as good. This is where purring stops. This is where you learn to be wild. Days turn to seasons. The earth welcomes you not with words, but with something deeper scent. It rises in soft waves as your paws press into the mossy trail. The musk of fallen petals, the faint decay of leaves long returned to soil, the sweet, mineral dampness that only comes from roots sleeping beneath the surface. But you feel it in your whiskers, in the subtle tension behind your eyes. It hums, as if some sleeping thing beneath you has begun to stir. Its roots are wide and old, spilling like hair over the stones. You touch your cheek to its bark. It does not speak, but you hear its story anyway. A shift. You breathe in slowly. This is not just dirt. It is memory. Every step you take whispers with echoes. You are not alone here, though nothing moves but mist and vine. Something ancient has remembered you, and more strangely, it seems to be waiting. There is a turn in the path. It isn't visible, not in the way humans need to see. You circle the pool, once, then again. She follows. Her eyes don't accuse. They invite. You sit, tail curled, ears steady, not because you're calm, because you're listening. The kitten speaks without sound. You buried me here. Long ago, when you thought softness would break you, when you thought the world did not want quiet hearts. You swallow. The wind shifts. The pool trembles only once. And then, without command, your body lowers. You lie beside the pool, fur brushing fallen petals. The kitten lies too, mirroring you, not haunting, joining. You close your eyes, but this is not sleep. This is something older. Stillness, the kind that comes before growth. The breath between seasons, the hush before a garden blooms again. No voice speaks now, not even the cat god, only the earth. And it says, you are returning, not to a place, to a promise. The light is the same soft and low. The air remains thick with hush, but beneath your pads, the earth speaks louder now. You crouch low, belly grazing the earth, and follow. You pause beside a tree that leans like a tired monk, and rub your face once, slowly, the way cats do when there is grief they do not name. A clearing, if such a thing can exist in half-remembered places. In its center, a pool, small, round, silent. The water doesn't ripple, not because there is no wind, but because it chooses stillness. You step closer. In its surface, you see, not your reflection, something else, a fire, long ago. The tree had siblings. They are ash now. You exhale. You move like breath through a tunnel of green. Something flickers through the underbrush. A sound? No, just movement. Or memory. The trail narrows. Overhead, a canopy thickens. Woven branches braided by time, not hands. The sky disappears, but still no fear, only depth. And then the scent sharpens. Sweetness. You know this. Your tail lifts unconsciously. Your steps quicken. It is the smell of a flower that once bloomed in your sleep. Not in the waking world, but in the dream you forgot upon rising. The path opens, not wide, not grand, but enough. A kitten, wide-eyed, gray, clean, unbruised by the world. She blinks. You blink. She does not vanish. Do you ever wonder if a place you once knew, a place that felt like home, do you ever wonder if that place is still there, if you go back to it after a very long absence? If this is how you felt, lost and wandering, the answer is yes. Yes, it is still there. The garden was not empty. What you might not know is that gardens are patient. They will wait for you to return. This is the story of a cat who walked away from everything she'd ever known. from everything she'd ever loved, and got lost in the wide world. She walked a long time. She crossed rushing rivers and busy roads, climbed high mountains and searched in hollow places. She asked every creature she met if they'd seen a garden, a special garden with roses the color of moonlight, and honeysuckle tangled with thorns, where a weathered stone archway was set in a wall overgrown with ivy. This is the story of the garden that waited. But no matter how far she roamed, the scent of that place stayed with her, pulling her back toward home. One day, the scent grew strong and clear, and she followed it until she stood before the weathered stone arch. Somewhere nearby, a fountain sang. The air thrummed with wings and the murmur of leaves. Yet there was no breeze. She touched the cool stones with her nose and stepped through. The garden had not changed. It was as she remembered, yet more beautiful. The roses were in bloom, and the honeysuckle wove its magic, not because of wind, but because of timing. She crossed to a mossy stone bench beneath an ancient oak, where gnarled roots reached out like welcoming arms. Here, nestled in a sea of blooms, a pool of water shimmered, reflecting the sky, subtle, like when a sleeping creature rolls over in its dreams. For a moment, she drank in the sight, breathed deep the scent of honeysuckle and old stone, and relaxed. Then something shifted, something stirred. A leaf fell. It landed on her back like a soft truth, and she did not shake it off. The silence, too, changed. It deepened, not into emptiness, but into presence. She felt it in the soil first, a pulse. She lifted her head, ears twitching. Only the wind stirring bells of dew on flower tips. Only the hush of roots pushing gently upward. Even when you forgot your name, the pool was still. The kitten had vanished. It wasn't a stranger. It was what remained when all other voices had been silenced. But in her place, footprints, small, fresh, disappearing into the vine-choked path ahead. She did not question. Cats rarely do when their bones remember something before their brain does. Not from sun, for there was no sun here. Warm from recognition. So she rose and followed. The path was narrower now, but not closing in. More like inviting her to fold, to become smaller in order to pass. She turned, swift but soft, and found eyes. Many, not threatening, not staring, watching cats. Some half-glimpsed in vine gaps, some perched on twisted branches, some walking across the canopy like shadows with whiskers. She crouched, tail low, and slid beneath a tangle of rose thorns and honeysuckle. It smelled like memory, not hers, someone else's. She pressed onward. Not a gate, a chest, a locked part of her she forgot even had hinges. And then a voice. It was about stopping long enough to hear the roots whisper her name again. Soundless but whole, the song of all things that waited for her return. Not loud, not human. It did not come from above. It came from beneath, from petals, from stems, from stones. It said, "We did not leave you. You left the gate closed too long." She froze. There was no figure to speak to. We waited. She lowered her body, belly against the earth, not in fear, in reverence, because she recognized the voice now. It was the garden itself, and it was alive. The plants parted, not dramatically, quietly, the way cats prefer, and she stepped into a circle of moss, ringed with low stones, carved long ago by claw, by paw, by memory. In the center stood a statue, not tall, not grand. It was familiar. She blinked. It was her. A cat of stone, curled just so, eyes closed, head slightly bowed, serene, untouched by time. She approached. She smelled lichen and silence. She raised one paw and gently touched the statue's nose. It was warm. A sound stirred in the ivy. None spoke, but she felt them. She was not alone. She never was. She only believed aloneness was safer. And the garden? It kept them, held them, like breath held in waiting. A young one stepped forward, golden, limping slightly, one eye clouded, but she bowed to you. To her, the cat of stone, and said, "Welcome back," she wanted to answer. But her voice caught, so instead she purred. Not for them, for herself, because something opened, and what flew out wasn't pain, wasn't sorrow. It was music. The cat god did not appear, because the garden was the cat god, because the waiting was the teaching, because her return was never about the path, and now they do. She lies down among them, not above, not beneath with. The others curl around her, like stars around a quiet moon. No one speaks. There is no need. Tonight, she sleeps not as a stray, not as a seeker, but as one who has returned. Somewhere between sleeping and dreaming, you stir, not from discomfort, but from a voice you almost remember. Not the cat god, not the garden, you, or the part of you that once chose forgetting. The others are still curled around you. Soft breath, shared warmth, a circle of silent kinship. But you are awake, and underneath your paw, the moss no longer feels like rest. It feels like memory. About to rise, you stand slowly. The youngest one stirs, but says nothing. The path in front of you wasn't there before. It's not one you saw, not one you walked. It's the kind that only appears when you're ready to walk backward. In time, not in space, you step into the corridor of roots. Not above ground anymore, not quite beneath. A twilight in between, where light forgets to be useful and sound becomes scent. The air is colder, but not cruel, just honest. The path narrows. Your tail brushes both walls, stone bare and raw. No moss here, no ivy, just truth pressed into dirt. You feel it under your claws. Hard packed, familiar. You dug this once. No gate, a long time ago. Because cats know, sometimes presence is the only offering. And what you buried here was not a body, but a choice. You come to a wall, no inscription, just a curve in the tunnel where everything stops. You sit, and the wall responds. First, a crack, thin as a whisker, then a scent, faint, metal, old, touched by fur, not fingers, part bone, part dream. The wall splits open like bark under pressure, not broken, revealed. Inside, a hollow, dusty, sacred, and lying there, beneath dry leaves and 3 silver hairs. A key, short, sharp, tender, the place where your purr went silent, not made by hands, not for locks. This key is symbolic, psychic, with recognition. You do not take it with your mouth. You touch it with your forehead, the way cats mark things not as property, but as known. The air shivers, the tunnel breathes, not metaphor. And everything that was buried begins to rise. You see it, not with your eyes, but in flashes. The moment you first learned to fear being soft. The paw that struck too soon. The voice that called you a burden. Each memory appears like fog, and then melts. No one needs to. Not because it disappears, because you finally let it stay. Unhidden, unjudged, unchanged. And as sleep returns, you feel the wall inside you soften. You lie down in the hollow. The key still glows, not with light. It is not something to be used. It is something to be remembered. You are never locked out. You simply forgot you had the key. Above you, the ceiling breathes. The roots tremble slightly, like lungs preparing to exhale. You rise. You carry nothing, not even the key. It has rejoined your memory. That is enough. When you return to the garden, no one speaks. The others know. They smell it on you. The faint mineral note of something unearthed. You curl again, this time not as seeker but as keeper. Not of answers, but of your own presence. The place where once you closed the door, now holds a window, and something warm shines through. Some things are not lost. They are simply misplaced in the folds of forgetting, tucked beneath the ribcage, buried behind the eyes, wrapped in silence too sacred to unwrap all at once. One of those things is your name. You do not mean Luna. That's what the humans called you. And it was lovely, wasn't it? Round as the moon. It made them smile when they whispered it before sleep, soft as breath. But that name was given. This one was chosen, or rather, remembered by you, long before fur, long before flesh, before breath had a shape. It returns now, not with noise, but with noticing. You feel it in how your steps fall quieter, in how your fur no longer bristles when the wind shifts, in the way the garden has stopped calling, not because it has grown silent, but because it knows. You've begun listening from within. A shape forms in your chest, not physical, not even visual, a resonance, like the chime of a bell inside a cave that hasn't been opened in centuries. It doesn't sound like language. It sounds like yes. The others notice. They begin to move around you differently, not with deference, with recognition, as if they remember who you are and were only waiting for you to remember too. One of them, a large, dark-furred cat with moss in his mane, nods once, then steps aside. Behind him, a staircase of roots leading downward, not into darkness, into clarity. You descend. Each step softens something old. A story peels off your back. A burden slides off your shoulders. A mask melts from your face. You were never performing. You were protecting. But now, you begin to see your reflection in the air itself. Not eyes, not fur, essence. And she is beautiful. At the bottom of the staircase is a pool, not of water, of soundless light. You sit before it, and in its glow, a name rises. You don't read it. You remember it. It's not a name spoken aloud. It's a feeling, like soft thunder, like lavender warmth, like standing still while the stars circle you. It is the name you once answered to when the stars first opened, the name the wind whispered the day you chose to be soft, the name that can never be written, only worn. The cat god doesn't descend, and tonight you wear it again. No one claps. There are no trumpets, but the moss brightens, the vines part, and the garden sighs. Because something sacred has settled back into place, you return to the surface. The others do not speak. They bow, not because you are more, because you are whole. And the voice that once whispered instructions now murmurs something different. Now that you have remembered who you are, you can begin to dream again. You lift your chin to the sky, eyes closed, and let the name hum inside you. It does not demand. It does not seek praise. It simply is, like you, no longer answering to what the world needs you to be, only answering to yourself. When you rise the next time, you do not wake. Not exactly. Because now, your waking and your dreaming have become the same thing. The moss follows your footsteps, not because you leave tracks, but because you call it forth. The vines curl toward your ears, not to whisper secrets, but to listen. The sun doesn't climb over the trees. It waits for your blink to begin its rise. You are not just in the dream, you are dreaming it. The garden no longer surrounds you. It extends from you. A droplet of dew takes on your reflection, even before it forms. Opening, facing inward first, then outward. It doesn't hurt. It remembers. And from it, a light begins to rise. Dim at first, then golden, then moon silver. The cat god has not spoken in many chapters. But now the voice returns. Not as a whisper. As breath, this is what you were always meant to do. To make the world soft again, by being soft in it. You close your eyes, and do not disappear. You expand into every leaf, every shadow, Every waiting bowl of milk on every empty porch. You are no longer the seeker. You are the song. And the garden? It does not end at the arch. It walks with you, wherever you choose to place your paws. You walk past a broken stone, and it mends itself, as if embarrassed to be crumbling in front of you. You do not command these things. You simply are. A bell once buried under your ribs, long silenced by sorrow, now stirs. You follow the sound without moving, because now the world folds around you to match your intention, not as worship, as alignment. And the garden responds as any loving world would to the return of its lost dreamer. It starts subtly. A flower blooms where your breath lands. Now it straightens in hope. You touch it, and your paw glows, not with power, with resonance. This is not about fixing the garden. It was never broken. It was waiting for you to co-dream with it again. You pause beside a tree whose bark is streaked with memory. It once leaned in grief. A low chime rings out, not from above, from within. At its center, a pool of mirrored air, not water, not sky, dream, suspended, breathing. You step to the edge, and inside it you see, not your past, not your reflection, possibility. Your paw brushes the surface. Ripples dance out in patterns, and from them, images rise. A kitten held in love. A temple never burned. A stranger who never struck. Alternate timelines? No. Just truths that were always available once you remembered how to choose. You come upon a glade. It wasn't here before. And yet, it always was. You dream gardens for the ones still lost. You dream warmth for the coldest rooftops. You dream a language made only of purrs and patience. And as you do, you feel the others gathering behind you again. The moss cat, the golden one, the shadow twin, the kitten you buried, even the statue of yourself, now smiling softly in the distance. They do not interrupt. They dream with you. You sit and dream, not of escaping the world, but of weaving it gently from this still, sacred center. A flower opens in your chest, not metaphor. You feel the bloom, petal by petal. Trust does not arrive like thunder. It comes like a whisker brushing silk. You do not hear it. You sense it. In the soft tension before sleep. In the way your body curls slightly tighter when the wind shifts. Not away, just onward. Your tail flicks once. You rise. You don't know where the next path leads. But that is the point, because the dream has given you back your name, and now it asks, do you trust yourself to wear it, even in uncertainty? You step beyond the arch, and immediately the world changes. Not with violence, with vulnerability. The path is no longer soft. The stones are real again, cool, uneven. There is no moss, no glowing vines, only dust and air that smells of old bark and absence. A rustle to your left, then stillness. You freeze, not in fear, in instinct. Your ears twitch. Your paws stay still. Something watches. Once you would have fled. You remember those days. When every shadow was a hunter. When every kind hand was held too tightly or let go too soon. But today you stay. You sit, back straight, tail calm, and wait. A bird appears. Not a large one. Not majestic, just present. It lands a few paw lengths away. Its eyes blink slowly. Once, twice. Then it sings, not to impress, to greet. And you realize this world is not testing you. It is trusting you first. You blink back, slow, cat, slow. The bird doesn't fly. It simply turns and begins to hop forward. You follow, not because you must, because you can. This is the heart of trust, not blind following, but soft walking beside. The bird leads you to a hollow tree, half burnt, still warm. Inside, a faint glow pulses, not magical, mortal. A heartbeat. You peer in, A small kitten, alone, shivering. She does not cry. She is past that. Her fur is soot-streaked, her breath shallow, and her eyes, they do not fear you. They do not beg. They hope. You do not know this kitten, but you recognize her because once you were her and someone, somewhere waited for you without asking questions. You step into the hollow, not cautiously, intentionally. Your body curves beside hers, fur to fur. She does not move. You do not force. But then a flick of her ear, a sigh, and the slowest, softest press of her small head against your chest. You stay the whole night, not to guard, to offer presence. There are no enemies, only echoes. And as the wind shifts, carrying the scent of pine and damp stone, you purr, not for her, for both of you, because you remember now, trust is not given. It is lived, moment by moment, paw by paw. A kitten sleeps curled so close you cannot tell where she ends and you begin. And somewhere in that stillness, you feel it again. That silent murmur beneath the world's noise. The one you thought was gone. The one that never left. The cat god speaks again, but now it speaks through you, a breath, a warmth, a voice inside your fur. To trust is to become the world again, to stop watching from the window and step outside. You wake at dawn. The light is soft. The kitten is gone, not in fear, in readiness. She left a leaf, one tiny paw print pressed in its dew-covered surface. You understand. You walk on. Not lighter, not heavier, just open, and this, dear cat, is trust. Not what they teach in books, but what is remembered between pause and silence. In the stillness, you share with another, where silence says more than hers. This is where you find yourself now, not in a dream, but in the afterglow of one. The garden still hums around you, but something is pulling you beyond it. In a world that seeks to confine your spirit, break your stride, and box your dreams, your story unfolds as a testament to resilience, a silent ode to freedom. This is a tale of Luna, a cat whose narrative mirrors the struggles and triumphs of countless souls seeking liberation from the chains of circumstance. Your support fuels our ability to touch more lives with these empowering narratives. As always, if you find comfort or insight in our shared stories, consider supporting us. Once upon a time, deep within a sun-dappled garden, nestled amidst the intoxicating fragrance of blooming jasmine, lived a cat named Luna. Her days were spent basking in the warmth of the sun, chasing butterflies, and weaving between the lush green leaves. The cat, now a seasoned feline, bore the weight of the girl's departure, etched in her emerald gaze. Each sunrise brought a renewed hope, only to be tempered by the setting sun's hues of loss. Not even a command. It is something older than that, calling you by a name you almost loved, Luna. It lands like a leaf on your fur. But because something in you has softened enough to meet the world again, on your own terms, you follow the voice. It isn't far. The tree's thin. The grass yields to gravel. You hear the creak of wood, a gate, and beyond it, a house. The girl, older now, eyes ringed with years, hands still gentle but hesitant. She's sitting on the steps, a bowl of warm milk beside her. No wait, only a question. Will you answer? Then one day, carried on the wings of a gentle breeze, a sound reached the cat's attentive ears. She's hoping. And that is different. You stop a few paces away. The wind catches your whiskers. The world slows. She lifts her head. The garden is behind you. The house is behind you. Life's journey is much like the path taken by Luna, filled with unexpected turns and moments that test our resilience. The bond between Luna and the girl symbolizes the connections we forge that sustain us through life's challenges. And care represented by the milk and the girl's concern, but she chooses to prioritize her own journey. It speaks to the depth of their bond, which has endured despite the years of separation. The quiet understanding in their eyes reflects the unspoken connection they still share. And how do you balance the need for belonging with the pursuit of personal growth and freedom? Embrace the lessons from Luna's story and let them guide you toward a life filled with meaningful connections, self-discovery, and the courage to follow your own path, just as Luna did. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, may your purrs be numerous and your scratches deeply satisfying. Remember, every cat has a story and every story has a cat. This teaches us that self-love and personal growth sometimes necessitate prioritizing our own needs over external expectations or comfort. The girl's initial hesitancy and the awkward silence upon Luna's return illustrate the complexities of reconciliation. The passage of time and life's experiences have changed them both, and there's a vulnerability in acknowledging those changes and the distance that has grown. Even in the face of separation, the memory of these connections sustains us. Ahead, the wild, the open, the unscripted. You walk forward. It is a reminder that healing and self-discovery often occur when we dare to venture beyond our comfort zones. The garden, with its lush greenery and beauty, represents familiarity and security. However, it also symbolizes the limitations that can arise when we stay within our comfort zones for too long. Sometimes growth and change require us to move beyond what's familiar. Because now you understand, you are not born to belong. You were born to be. And those who love you will never try to hold your name like a leash. They will speak it only when the wind is soft, and their hands are still, and they have made space for you to come freely. True love means supporting another's journey, even when it leads in uncharted directions. The cat god's final message to Luna: you are not a thing to be kept. You are a flame to be witnessed, serves as a profound life lesson for all of us. It encourages us to recognize our inherent worth and to seek connections that celebrate rather than confine our spirits. We are not possessions to be owned, but unique flames whose light should be seen and appreciated. And on the breeze, you hear the cat god whisper, you were found, yes, but never forget, you are not a thing to be kept. You are a flame to be witnessed, and the road stretches, and your steps are light, because finally, you are neither hiding, nor performing, nor returning. You are simply walking as yourself, and no one, not even the gods, owns that. A voice, not the birdsong she'd grown accustomed to, not the whispering wind that caressed the leaves. You do not leap, you watch, because trust does not mean returning to the cage. It means knowing the door exists and choosing whether to step through it. She says your name again, softer, Luna. And this time, it doesn't land like a name. It lands like a memory, willing to be rewritten. She and the cat formed an unlikely bond, two souls finding solace in each other's company amidst the vibrant hues of the garden. Not for permission, not for answers. To be seen, and she does not reach for you. She bows her head, because this moment is not about returning. It is about being seen without being held, loved without being leashed, not in apology. In acceptance, every purr, every leap was a celebration of life. In waking, not as the garden, as a human. The girl grew older, her laughter echoing less frequently in the garden's embrace. Soon, the familiar sound of her footsteps was replaced by the haunting silence of absence. The cat, sensing the shift, remained by the garden's edge, her green eyes searching the path, her heart echoing the girl's unspoken goodbye. Then it was the girl. For her, the garden was a sanctuary too, a place where laughter echoed and secrets were whispered to the rustling trees. Yet life, like the changing seasons, can shift unexpectedly. Years passed, turning the garden into a labyrinth of memories. There is a sound you had almost forgotten. Not birdsong, not bells, not whispering wind, a voice, calling, not in dreams. Her ears twitch. It is not a cry of urgency. You rise, not out of need, not out of curiosity. The garden breathes beside you, but you know, this part of the journey requires stepping beyond its edge. Familiar, but not home. Your paws make no sound on the stone path. And when you round the corner, you see her. She doesn't look up right away. She's not calling anymore. Eyes meet. No tears, no gasps, only presence. You do not run. You walk to the bowl. Sniff it. Milk, warm, clean, but you do not drink. Instead, you look up, straight into her. You blink once, slow, cat slow, and she smiles. You walk past the bowl, around her, not away, but onward. She does not follow. And somehow, that is the greatest gift. You pause at the edge of the road. Now, my dear listeners, as we bring this tale to its end, let us reflect on the profound truths it unveils. The call Luna eventually heeds is not just a summons, but a metaphor for the innate drive within each of us to reconnect with our true selves. When Luna decides to leave the garden, she doesn't reject the love. The simple act of acknowledging each other as presence, without immediate explanation or resolution, is a powerful display of emotional maturity and respect. Ultimately, the story reminds us that while the love and connections we make in life are invaluable, they must coexist with our personal growth and journeys. So, my friends, as you reflect on your own life's journey, ask yourself, how do you nurture the connections that shape your path? Have you ever looked up at the moon and thought, why does it follow me? No, seriously, why does it follow me? For most of us, it's just the moon being the moon, going about its usual business of reflecting light and looking pretty. But for you, oh my friend, it's different. Not distant, not watching, following. You pass by sleeping farms and silent towns, the ghosts of laughter echoing in doorways and windows. Sleeping, breathing, and the moon hovers just above your shoulder, like a memory too sacred to forget. Here, the road widens into a clearing, and the moon spills down around you, bathing you in silver. You are not afraid anymore. You do not need to run. Still, radiant, and let the moon pour down around you like a blessing that cannot be bought, only received. The child smiles. Her hand rests on the glass. Then slowly, she returns to bed, carrying your image like a lullaby. She will not know, not fully, why she slept so well tonight, but some part of her will remember the cat who didn't run, the one who sat under the moon and made the night feel safe again. You are strong. The road has made you strong, so much so that you can finally stop. You rise, not because the night is over, because your role has shifted. You are no longer just the dreamer. You are the dream left behind for others to find when they, too, begin to remember. The wind carries a soft mew. Far off, lonely, familiar, you follow, not as seeker, as beacon, because some stories don't end. They echo, and your paws now carry more than your weight. They carry the echo of every cat who ever chose to stay soft, even after they were forgotten, even after they were called feral, wild, unwanted. The moon follows you, not to own, but to witness, because you've become the light you once waited for. And now, you leave it behind in every place you pause. Not a path, a blessing, not a map, a memory. You walk on. And somewhere, a child sleeps peacefully. Somewhere, a lonely heart softens. Somewhere, a cat who once flinched from touch lets itself be held. All because you remembered to walk without needing to belong, to shine without needing to be seen, to return without losing yourself. And the cat god, no longer far, whispers as your shadow lengthens. You are not mine. You are not theirs. You are your own. And that is holy. You do not need to go further. You sit. The wind cools your fur. The grass leans near. It echoes still. Oh yes, there are more chapters waiting to be found in the long road ahead. If you feel the pull of the moon in your own story, if you hear its message in your heart, then know this: you are not alone. We are a community of wanderers, seekers, those who find solace in the soft glow of understanding. We gather here, drawn together by the threads of shared experiences, hopes, and dreams. This space, our sanctuary, is a testament to the power of connection. It is a place where vulnerability meets empathy, where honesty finds its echo, and where authenticity is celebrated. Together, we confront life's challenges with newfound strength, knowing that in our shared stories lies our healing. Our journey continues, and I am honored to be a part of it with you. You feel a presence behind you, not a creature, a knowing. The garden, still with you. The cat god, still within you. But now, you are both. You carry the sacred. You embody the hush. The moon tracks your steps with steady light. You know what it means when the moon follows you home. When the moon follows you home, it means you've been walking a very long road. A road that twists and turns through fields and forests, over hills and streams, sometimes winding back to places you've already been. The road curves, but it doesn't end. You've long stopped asking where it leads. You walk now for different reasons. Not to escape, not to return, but to carry. Because something in you has changed. Not visible, not traumatic, but unmistakable. A kind of quiet light that doesn't come from stars or fire. It comes from having stayed soft in a world that wanted you hard. Night falls gently, doesn't press down. It wraps, and above you, the moon. It was always there, but now it feels different. When the moon follows you home, it means you're almost there. You'll soon reach a hilltop. The world stretches below. You do not purr, you pulse, with a rhythm that matches the trees, the dust, the spaces between stars. Below, a village sleeps, lights dim, voices hushed, and in a window, a child stirs. A small face presses to the glass. She sees you. A gray cat alone on the hill, bathed in silver glow. She is very small, not yet spoken. But though she doesn't speak, you hear her. A wish, a whisper, a longing, not for rescue, not for answers, just to be seen by something that remembers how to be quiet. You do not approach. You do not leap to the sill. You sit. And that, dear Luna, is why the moon follows you now. Not to light your path, but to reflect your own. Now, my friends, this tale is far from over. Some gardens do not end. They are not contained by fences, nor by memory. They grow in the pauses, in the silences, in the way you sit when you no longer need to be seen. You return one final time, not to reclaim, but to release. Where there was once moss, there are now vines blooming tiny moon-colored flowers. Your flowers, not grown by hands, grown by presence. The others gather. No words, just stillness. A sacred kind of farewell. You know this place holds your story, the story you are leaving behind. The path is as soft as it was that first night. But you are not the same. You step onto it without sound. A kitten curls into herself and feels safe for the first time. None of them see you, but all of them receive you. That is legacy, not carved in stone, but whispered into the wind. For a story lives not in its conclusion, but in the echoes that linger. Long after the final word is spoken, Luna's tale might be over, but its resonance remains woven into the very fabric of existence. This is a story about endings, about letting go, about finding peace. Their branches sweep the ground, forming a hushed hall between their trunks. You are not coming back. You are leaving something behind. If you've walked with Luna through the mystical garden, if you've witnessed her transformation from a lost soul to an enlightened being, I invite you now to become part of something extraordinary. Share your experience. How did Luna's journey impact you? What insights did you gain? What echoes of her story do you hear within yourself? Your reflections could be a guiding light for someone else's journey. You become softer. So soft, the night forgets where you end. So soft, the moon no longer needs to follow because it glows from you. You are participating in an eternal conversation, a dialogue that transcends time and space. You are echoing the wisdom of the ancients, the timeless truths that have resonated through generations. And in that resonance, your own story too will find its place. So speak your truth. Let it resonate, and in that echoing, find your place in the grand tapestry of existence. And when the final breeze passes through the garden, it carries no sorrow, only scent of jasmine, of dew, of quiet, fulfilled promises. You were Luna. You were lost. You were found. You were free. You became light. And the garden? The garden still dreams, because you left it open. There is no rustle of leaves under your paws, only the sigh of wind through tall grass. You curl beside your stone self one last time. You press your forehead to hers, and you feel it not a goodbye, a blessing. You are not leaving the garden. You are becoming it. Your steps don't whisper. They bless. The garden rises to meet you. Not physically, energetically. You do not come as a visitor anymore. You come as one who comes home after a long absence, not to stay, but to be received. The moss lifts slightly under your paws, like an inhale of recognition. The trees part not to welcome, but to bow. But now, it sounds exactly like you, because it is you. The garden was never a destination. It was an inheritance. And now, you are giving it away. You walk to the arch, the first place, the oldest silence. But this time, you do not look back. Not out of indifference, out of trust. Because gardens do not need guardians. They need truth, and you have already sown it. In pawprints, in purrs, in the hearts of the ones who still walk asleep. The circle of stones is still there. So is the statue, curled, serene. But now, it has changed. You are letting go of the burden you carried, the secret sorrow that made you seek solace here. Here where shadows dance and moonlight weaves magic. One of the younger cats, a little flame-colored one, steps forward. She carries nothing. But in her eyes, the question you once asked, the ache you once held. You touch noses, and she knows the garden is hers now, not to protect, to remember. You rise. The cat god speaks again, and somewhere far away, a stranger stumbles into silence. A child dreams of a gray cat in silver light. You do not become human. You do not ascend. This is the ending, yet it is not the end. It is a reminder that sometimes the most profound journeys lead us back to ourselves. And as you share, remember, you are not just recounting a tale.